honestly, this new age that I'm turning is why I'm showing up to this video like this because it is that serious. I gotta show up like our African aunties because it just looks like I'm about to be that. Anyway, JK, maybe not. This video is a lessons that I have learned from 20 to 25. I was going to, phrase it as things I wish I knew before turning 25, right? And things that I've also learned. But the truth is that there are things that no matter how much you will learn, all your self-help books and all, experience and exposure is what will teach you, and you learn it, and you would get better and learn how to figure out and navigate life, because really that's life is like a puzzle that you're supposed to figure out. However, on the other end, there are some things that like you shouldn't learn through experience, but other people's experience that they've lived it, gone through things, and then you're able to, take lessons from it to learn and, just apply to your life, and you don't have to make the same mistakes that they made in whatever area of life it is. Anyways, this is just me sharing my personal life lessons, and starting off strong is one. Life is dynamic, because tell me why I felt like I will figure out things in my 20s, like my early 20s, like, oh, I felt like I knew what I wanted to do in this, do wanted to do in that. What I thought I wanted to do at 20 is very different from what I'm doing now. I mean, there are things I had clarity about and I'm still, in it, and I still do it. But for other things, quite frankly, I've changed my mind about it, and that's just life, because with time, you get to know yourself, you get to understand yourself better, you get to understand the things that you like. And yeah, that is also how, like, it translates into, for instance, career for me is something where, like, I have just changed my mind about what I want to do. And I shared a shot about this, how, like, what I want to do now is quite opposite from where I came from. And it just shows how life is dynamic, and how, like, the lesson here is that it's okay to keep learning, to know yourself more, to keep growing, to not put yourself in a box, to keep exploring, to keep intentionally trying to find yourself, discover yourself, know who you are, know your likes, know your dislikes. And it doesn't mean you should be wild about it, but there are cautious ways to go about this, through, reading, through following people that would open your mind, or even you asking yourself questions, and more importantly, even, like, committing everything into the hands of God. Another thing is authenticity over living as a shadow of myself. And so particularly for this one time, I had to ask myself that, like, if there was no social media, how would I live my life? And it allowed me to see things more clearly, especially because social media, there's just a lot going on these days. There's a lot of experiences. There's just a lot that people share, right? And so you don't realize how you're taking on so many people's experiences and life choices. So it's important to take a step back and be like, wait, is this really the life I want, or is this what another person is living, and I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing? And so when I asked myself that question, I was able to take it back to the drawing board and know that this is not me, this is not what I want to do, this is not the type of life that I want, and just allowed me to live my life more authentically, and just, shop as I want to be. Living authentically does not mean that you're not working on your flaws or anything. No, you are working on your flaws, but you just understand the beautiful and unique part of you. And for instance, everybody is trying to be a content creator, even though that's what I am here for. But, like, it's like, is that what you really want to do? So it's important to ask yourself that question in a world where there's a lot of noise, and also in bringing it back to the point of growing up Nigerian, where, like, there's a lot of, like, social conditioning in a way, and expectations. So just, just coming back, like, who are you, and living life on that terms, in alignment with God's perfect will for your life. And I think the other one is balance, rest, and seasons. And this is something that I used to think that there was balance in life. And I stressed myself for, honestly, the first 4 years of my 20s, meaning that it's even very recently I had to figure it out, that there is no such thing as balance, and there is no such thing as you have completely figured it out. Because balance is a myth, right? And there's something I came across one time, which is like, oh, the harmony of life. And I really prefer that better, which is, knowing how to just every part of your life, learning how to make it just work together for you. Essentially, for me, what that meant is not putting pressure on myself to be able to do everything all at once, knowing the things that I can delegate, knowing the things that I can do, knowing my strengths and strengths that I want to even monetize and the ones that I do not need to monetize. And also understanding seasons as like, it's not just, oh, even when you turn a year, you want to do this. No, but like from a biblical standpoint, like what is the season of your life for? Understand that, oh, my early 20s are a season of planting, they're a season of building. So for me, it's like I have to work hard for the life that I want and not just, thinking it will come at my lap, right? Like, just I always knew that, but understanding that better for the type of life that I want in my even late 20s and early 30s. So just putting in that hard work now, even just understanding the body, because the truth is that your body even changes as you get older and things like that. So that's just something I learned more of, balanced rest seasons. And at the same time, as we're doing all this grinding and everything, personally for me, because I put a lot of pressure on myself, because again, take this advice knowing who you are and what part of the spectrum you fall on, because some people fall on the over resting spectrum and some people fall on the overworking spectrum. But that's where the harmony comes into place. So I have really just learned that for me, that I used to overthink and just try to overwork myself, that it's okay to rest. You can take a breather, because at the end of the day, life is for the living. So if I overstress myself out and I don't feel well, I don't have good health, all for what? So just finding that harmony in everything and understanding different seasons of my life. Even when it's a season of planting, in that season of planting, there might still be a season to rest in it, or the season of harvesting in it, or the season of, okay, I'm continuing to build. So just understanding all of that. And then another one that I learned is boundaries. Let's talk about boundaries, especially as a Nigerian Christian girl. I just feel like for the longest time, the understanding of boundaries, forgiveness has been misunderstood. And even I personally did not really understand it. Like, oh, it's okay, you can just come to my space. Oh, I just want to say yes to you, because we're taught to be hospitable, kind, forgiving. No, not even kind. We're taught to be hospitable, nice, forgiving. But guess what? You're not supposed to be nice. You're supposed to be kind, because niceness is not even the fruit of the spirit. It is kindness that is the fruit of the spirit. And in kindness is even understanding when to say no. Kindness is understanding when to withdraw. Because even our Lord Jesus Christ, there were times that he withdrew from the crowd, to be alone and be with his heavenly Father. So just understanding those life dynamics and intricacies, right? Is something that I'm really, really glad that I've I am now learning, even though I didn't know it earlier on, and so people would misuse my boundaries. I mean, I've never been that bad, to be honest, because even as a Nigerian Christian child, I've always been somebody that had a mind of my own, but more often, right, there's also like that cognitive dissonance that happened for me at the point of like, okay, I want to have my mind, but I also don't want to be like, I'm not listening to advice and everything. But entering 25, I have been able to form more of a mindset about it, and even a biblical understanding and perspective about it better, to know that it's okay to rest, it's okay to protect my boundaries if people have overstepped it. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be mean to you, but it just means that you don't have that access into my life and into my heart, and I'm guarding it. And you're not just going to trample over it, because my body is the temple of God. And yeah, it's just not God's will for me to not for me to suffer the pain that you've put on me. No, you don't have to come back to that. So yeah, that's something. In fact, on this topic, I remember I was just telling my mom yesterday, like we're talking about how, like, as Nigerians, we don't understand how to use the law. And she was also talking about that show, how like it kind of even has to do with our government and just how we are raised and everything. we don't understand we have no understanding of rights, privileges, and things like that. But I know my rights and I know my privileges, and I know that boundaries are okay, and forgiveness. I keep talking about forgiveness a lot on this channel. I'm still learning. I'm not fully there yet, right? So I'm sharing my experience, right? And I saw somebody explain this perfectly. Actually, let me speak on this right now on Instagram. Her name is actually Esther Ide. I'll probably put the link or screenshots here or something. And she has spoken in conclusion on how, like, actually people have made us misunderstand what the whole forgiveness and reconciliation means. That they say, oh, forgive and forget, right? That it's not even biblical, it's just something that sounds biblical. And what is biblical is forgive as Christ forgave us. And how did Christ forgive us? That in Isaiah, when it says, oh, I have overlooked your sin, I know she explained the Greek of it and everything, meaning that, like, I know what you've done. I see your sin, but in everything, I will still not use it against you. And then finally is to never say never. I think this is my biggest one because maybe, for instance, let me give an example. I would see like a bride and her shoe, and like, why did she wear that shoe now? Why did she wear something else? Right? But for instance, maybe my wedding planning now taught me, hey, do you know the stress she went through to pick that shoe, to put her look together and everything like that? Like, don't say you won't wear that shoe when it's your own turn, no. Like, that's what's more comfortable, so that's what you want to wear during your wedding. This is not a real example, but just like an instance, right? So basically, like, I have I've really learned never say never. Now, this is the caveat, not now in like things that are definitely against your values and who you are grounded as a person, and if you're a person of faith as well. Yeah, not that, not now like going extreme, right? But even with that, life happens, and we should just pray that we're not put under circumstances that would, make us trade our values and our habits and who we are. But real quick in life, I'm learning and have learned to just, never say never, to never judge people, never judge circumstances. Just, be somebody who just sees life from a perspective that everybody's living life in a different perspective, right? And so, if somebody makes a decision or is acting somehow, they don't know better. Also, sadly, life can put you in situations that you don't plan to be in, and yeah, or you just do not have foresight and you didn't understand it. This is very broad and in different things, but basically, just never say never, never say never, never. Again, there's a caveat though, to be fair. There are things where it's like say never with your chest too. I'm just going to add a bonus one because I really love to talk about character, and I'm going to say that character and competence goes hand in hand. You can be skilled at something, know how to do something, but if you don't have the character, unfortunately, some doors might not open for you. And so it's important to, like, continue to groom yourself, continue to train yourself. I believe there's a Yoruba proverb that says that even after they've trained you, you should go back and train yourself, right? So, keep learning, keep, understanding yourself, keep knowing your weaknesses and improve on it. A personal example that I like to share with people is one of the ways my husband had approached me and complimented me for is my smile. And we met when I was 22, but this was something that prior to then, why are you smiling? What's funny? I do not believe in smiling unnecessarily. Like, what are we smiling for, right? But I took it as a personal project to be a friendly person, because the Bible says he that says he wants to have friends must show himself friendly. And I was, more intentional about how I'm being approached, my smile, how I look, and everything. And it's so funny that that's one of now the things that, like, how my husband and I were linked together. And even beyond that, even other people that I've had the privilege to be in close and better relationships with in my life is from just being more of a one person. My smile, my normal, it's like get out, I don't care about you, but, like, just be more warm and stuff. There's still that part of my life and I'm still trying to work on it, but for the most part, just really learning to build my character, to keep working on it, but at the same time to not allow anybody you know, minimize my character, minimize my person, because in this life, people will try to water you down, people will try to bring you down, but you gotta remember who you are and stand strong on it, because people will judge you and want to treat you how they feel, like how they feel about you, and even sometimes how they feel about their lives. Some people, believe it or not, have miserable lives and want other people to have miserable lives like them. So it's just important to also know who you are and don't let anybody bring you down from that. If you've watched the end of this video, thank you, and comment down below I watched the end of the video. These are just a few things that I have learned so many other things, but I just wanted to take some of the few major ones that I know would help anybody in their early 20s or even your late 20s, because we keep learning and no lesson is too much or too small. But thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in my next one. Wish me a happy birthday in the comments below. Bye. Like, comment, share, subscribe.